Buongiorno a tutti e a tutte, benvenuti.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to our Oriente Occidente studio, as it is going to be called as from today. We are very happy to be here with you all and also to have a series of guests joining us from abroad and a number of journalists and guests who are connected via our streaming service, both in YouTube and Facebook. We are very happy to be able to tell you today what happens in our spaces and in our organization, which after 40 years renews its commitment with the culture, with the community, and with all the communities that it encounters through its activities and programs. We will tell you today about the directions that are going to be taken throughout the year, and not only during the festival in September. So I will leave you now with a short video, and then the floor will go to our speakers. Thank you and enjoy.
Bene, allora per iniziare noi siamo molto felici che stamattina
We are very happy that this morning we have here the provincial councillor for culture, education and university from the autonomous province of Trento, Mr. Bisesti, who will take the floor now. Thank you. Thank you very much. And good morning. It is indeed a pleasure for me to be here this morning to bring to you not only an address, a welcoming address, but also a sign of gratitude for the activity that we have been carrying out together starting 3 years ago. We have always worked in harmony, and I'm very happy to see here both the president and the artistic director at the same table. We have worked very well together in line with the guidelines for culture for the autonomous province of Trento. The relationship with Oriente Occidente was marked by mutual trust from the very beginning, and we have identified together the directions to be taken for the future. Then COVID arrived, we know that, but despite that, the activities continued, and I thank you wholeheartedly for that, because these 2 years have been difficult for you, for the entire world of culture. It has been especially difficult for this sector because the theaters were closed, and when other activities and businesses reopened, theaters remained closed. And then there was the reduction in terms of the number of people allowed into theaters down to 50%. And we hope that soon we are able to resume activities with a full capacity, because culture performs a very important social role as well. And indeed, Oriente Occidente is key in order to help increase the social spirit that we need in our community. We need culture, we need trust, we need events like those organized by Oriente Occidente that make it possible for our area, for our province to keep the social relations between and among people alive. This aspect has always been nurtured by Oriente Occidente. This is one of the key aspects. And of course, the language of dance will be addressed by the other speakers. They will be able to tell about that much better than I could do. What I can say is that it is a language which goes beyond all borders. And I'm very happy to also see here a representative of the municipal council and also the new director of the Centro Santa Chiara. So I would like also to remind us all of all the important activities that have been performed with the MART Museum in Rovereto in partnership with a number of entities, including Dolomiti Energia, which is a very important partner in terms of sustainability. And then there have been several activities with the tourist authorities for the communities of this province. This is something that we want to bank on further in the future. Going back to what we said in the beginning and to a number of indications for what we are going to do in line with what was started back in 2016, actually by Oriente Occidente, I would like to recall the importance of programs such as Creative Europe, also in terms of funding, because we know that money is key, of course, but it is not only funding that counts. It is a network of relations that are key in order to increase the impact of these activities and open up to new entities and organizations. We host here artists. There is an exchange with the local performers and artists, and this is also very important. This is also in line with one of those aspects that we said from the very beginning that we wanted to focus very much on in order to help talent grow in terms of the work that they perform and also in terms of the work that is behind the scenes, so to say, which is equally key. There is always an impact on the community of what is done in this respect. And both the cultural and professional aspects for this reason go hand in hand. And this is indeed what Oriente Occidente focuses on. We are sure that your program for this year will exceed all expectations, because this is the year when we want to restart, to open up again, to reopen. But this is, I'm sure, is what you will tell us about, also in relation to the fact that this happens within the framework of EDN, which is something that makes us very proud. So thank you very much for your work. Indeed. Well, we thank the provincial councillor Bisesti for his contribution. Thank you for introducing basically the news of the day, which is going to be delivered by our president, Mr. Paolo Baldessari. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you. I hope you can hear me well.
Chi parla sì, benissimo. Avete visto l'entusiasmo, il volto?
You indeed saw the enthusiastic expression of Susanna, who started the meeting. And this is also Anna's, Gloria's, Laura's, Lucretia's expression and face. You see our staff, and I would like to thank them so much for what they have done in organizing things here and also on the upper floor that we will visit afterwards. We open our dance house today. We open it to the stakeholders, to our friends, to people working with us and who will work with us, to the audience, of course, in order to strengthen a cultural project that started 40 years ago and which is deeply rooted and which is confirmed day by day in its vision and in its mission, of course, through the relations with the community, with the artists, with culture. This is an open house. This is a house that is open to contamination, to a whole series of forms of expressions that, of course, are very dear to us and that touch our soul in a way, and that help us react as we did in the past 2 years. The past 2 years were highly demanding, but at the same time, in addition to being challenging, they have enriched us. They have given us the possibility to look inside ourselves, to deepen our mission, to understand where we had to work and what had to be made stronger. Our strong points had to be enhanced. So we made a very thorough analysis, and I would like to congratulate us all for that, because you see, we celebrated 40 years of our festival, 40 years which have been a successful history, and yet we are very much aware of the fact that the world is waiting for us, that there are new things to be interpreted, that there are new needs to meet, and we will indeed try and do so. And we want to do that through dance, which is a language which does not go through our voice, our words, and which therefore goes beyond borders, all borders, which do exist as a limitation in other domains, in other artistic domains. So I would like to tell you now that the best announcement we can make today is that Oriente Occidente enters the EDN, the European Dance House Network. So Oriente Occidente enters an international network that connects it to 47 other prestigious entities in 28 European countries, from the Mercat de les Flores in Barcelona to the Hungarian Truffaut, not to mention the Maison de la Danse in Lyon and Sadler's Wells in London. And I mentioned only some of them, but these are the partners with whom we will be able to work together within the framework of EDN. EDN is a network supported by the European Union, set up formally in 2009 between and by European dance houses, sharing a common vision regarding the development of dance across borders. The network is built upon principles of trust and sharing across borders to support dance, but also to encourage an all-round cultural participation. So joining this European network for us is something that makes us proud. It is also a starting point because it is an entity of excellence. And we believe and hope that we can work at best with this new capacity, in this new role. The 4 or 5 fundamental points that we would like to mention, and you received it also in your material, are the following. Having said that we are very happy to be part of EDN. And the other aspect that I want to mention is the fact that Oriente Occidente is now ready to join the third sector, to be part of the third sector, which is the outcome of a process of reflection that has lasted for a number of years now. And based on that reflection, we really understood that we needed, that we wanted to make this further step. And this is something that we already consolidated, anticipated actually with the budget last year. And we join the third sector. This is going to be now registered. We are going to be entered in the registry, the single registry for this sector. This is going to happen very soon. And so This is, again, something that makes us proud, and I would like to thank especially Dario Piconese, who is the vice president of the festival and who followed the procedure, that is a complex one, in order to make us able to enter the third sector. It was a complex process, so thank you very much. The value of the third sector is something that also is testified by the fact that we have extended the number of people working in the management and the board of directors, so that we now have, in addition to me, Lanfranco Cis, Dario Piconese, Francesca Manfrini, and Franco Brocardi. Thank you very much for joining the board. Thank you, because you are very competent, you are passionate about this sector, and we have already worked together, of course, in the past, and we have been able to see how fundamental your contribution can be. So we are sure that you will continue in the same line and on the same line in the future. So in this process of renewal, and based upon the reflection that we have made and that I have told you about, we now open up a new chapter, which is what we call our vision. Based on our vision, we want to build a freer, more welcoming and inclusive society through artistic practices that focus on the universal language of bodies. We want to be part of the world which considers culture a universal human right and education towards beauty and exercise in citizenship. So we think that we have condensed in these few lines a long-lasting reflection, a reflection that has taken a long time to come to the fore and that has received our full attention and participation, with contribution coming from outside. So we were open to suggestions because we wanted to better precise this vision, which is a vision which confirms indeed what the festival has always done. We have never neglected the aspects that you can read in the vision. I believe that in the 40 years that have taken and brought us to this very moment, we have testified to the values that you read in the vision. This is something that we have always been true to and loyal to. We think that it is very important for the festival. The mission now, the mission states that Oriente Occidente is an open cultural institution which believes in the practice and culture of dialogue. It develops networks of relationships through the language of dance. Dance is always about overcoming boundaries of language, ethnicity, gender, age, culture. By definition, with a visionary perspective and excellence, Oriente Occidente is a bridge between East and West, North and South, form and substance, ethics and aesthetics, past and future. I wanted to read the lines to you because Susanna has been so good in summarizing what we are in a few lines. And this is the reason why I wanted to read them as they are stated in our mission and earlier on in our vision, as you heard. And of course, I'm sure that Anna and Franco will continue telling you about these values in their contribution. And I thank you very much for the attention so far. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you to the Provincial Councillor Bizesti. I would like to thank the institutions. I would like to thank the tourist authorities who are present, and two of the friends who are here and who are also connected remotely. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to have you all here today. Thank you.
Benissimo, le fondamenta di un'organizzazione.
Very well. You see, the foundations of an organization are its mission and vision, which summarize, as the president said, the values and the system of values, which is at the basis of the program set up. So now we will have telling us about the values and the systems and the programs and the directions to be taken for the future. We have now Mrs. Anna Consolati, the Director General. Thank you, Susanna, and good morning to you all. I would like to open up a short parenthesis before addressing the values in terms of what has come out of the mission and vision. I would like to tell you about what we have done in the past years, because after 40 years, we carried out a very thorough reflection, and we felt the need of telling more about ourselves to the outside and bringing together what we have, what we do throughout the years in order to tell about it to the community and to the stakeholders. And we use the social budget to that end that you also received in your folder, in your material, and you can also find it online on our website. The social budget is a way to tell about what we are and to give very concrete indications about the impact of Oriente Occidente on a community and on the area. The budget, the balance sheet has not been closed yet. We do not have final data, therefore, but we can tell you that 2021 is in line with the 2020 budget year, a bit more. Due to the pandemic, of course, it is not that we could organize much more in addition to the festival in 2020, while in 2021 we added activities in terms of what we offered, and we invested in a number of people, because you see there are so many people working for Oriente Occidente on the basis of permanent contracts as consultants as well. And then there are all the artists who come to the festival, but there are also those people who are halfway between professionals and non-professional dancers and who visit our spaces and are with us. So all these people who animate the House of Oriente Occidente and who come to Oriente Occidente and attend Oriente Occidente have an impact on the territory, of course, also in economic terms. And there is also, in addition to the direct impact, an indirect impact, because all those who work and all the technical staff, the marketing people, and so on and so forth, also join with us, and they are people from this area. You will find data in the social budget, and I can add that in 2021 we have a self-financing capacity of between 20 and 30%. Out of the total of our budget, more than 50% is devoted to artistic activities, because as Paolo said, excellence for us is a fundamental aspect. Of course, bringing international companies and artists to Rovereto, and also companies and artists from beyond the European borders means investing a lot. As I said earlier on, the analysis of suppliers entails that between 60 and 90% of the cost that we bear then give a return for the territory. This year too, we certainly have more than 1,000 visitors that of course are going to stay in Rovereto and use the hotels and all the rest that they can find here in Rovereto. And of course, there is not only the festival, there are other activities throughout the year, so the figures will certainly be even better than what I have told you. As I said before, this is also an important moment in terms of the communication, which is the reason why we also worked on the graphics of the internet website. We wanted to have lighter colors, a more white color in order to make it more readable. And we worked with one of the best web agencies in Italy. And we also have a standard that we abide to, which is ALI and the A11 and this makes our web project accessible by 90%. And we are working on the graphics in order to enhance it even further. We cannot show it to you now, but we kindly invite you to visit our website. So, as Susanna said, These 2 years have been 2 years of reflection, and we have, after 40 years, activated also a series of cooperations and collaborations with external consultants, because we did not want to be the only ones to look at what we did. We wanted to be able to identify our weaknesses better, also in the awareness that the context has changed. And we know that we want to and have to deliver more than a festival, despite the wonderful reputation that we enjoy at international level, which would be enough, but we wanted to do more than that. And the payoff that we resorted to is what has been our payoff, or had been for 30 years, an encounter of cultures, incontro di cultura. We understood that that was the very foundation of Oriente Occidente. And we identified in the payoff, meaning that we want to use art, dance, culture to achieve an encounter between and among different entities. Values are that of being open, of being welcoming, in order to generate also new creative opportunities. And this is something that we will continue working on in the future. Starting in 2016, then, with the Creative Europe project, we have opened up a new chapter to performing arts in the field of disability. And we have opened, therefore, our activities not only to artists, but also to audiences with a disability. And there are 43 cultural institutions in Italy working on that. And we will be in April at the end of Milan, together with the Ministry for Culture, where we are going to have an ad hoc event. Culture is a universal right. And here we do not only make a reference to the opening up to disabled audiences. We want also to program, bearing in mind that there are different types of audience, that there are people who hardly come to the theater or will not be able to come, but there is a way, we must find a way to bring culture to them. We have to use creativity in order to bring dance to other places, both during the festival and during the other periods of the year. I have already talked about innovation and research. Now I will briefly talk about sustainability with the 2030 agenda. Sustainability as a very wide topic, which includes social sustainability, is what is very important to us. And Dolomiti Energia is our sponsor for sustainability through the programming period of 3 years. So we want to do that, bearing in mind that there are specific features in this area, which means that we will pay a lot of attention to nature as it is, and to bringing dance into that natural environment. Now I would say that I can leave the floor to Franco. Lanfranco.
Come Anna Consolati ha raccontato appunto,
As Anna told us, when talking about the values at the very basis of our program,
programmazione artistica, che da quest'anno
of course, values, social values are combined with the artistic aspects, and the artistic director is Lanfranco Cis, who will now take the floor. Of course, you will now expect me to list to you all the things that we are going to do in the next weeks and months, but you will be disappointed. I will not do so, because you see, what we are interested in today, what we want to do today, is explain the way by which we want to organize the activities that we perform based on 3 directions: studio being the first one, then the festival and people. We used these three terms that are used both in Italian and in other languages, of course, including English. Studio, people, and festival. These are the three key words. And people is what is especially dear to us and what also Councillor Bisesti made reference to earlier on, meaning the fact that today we have the need of setting up community relations, because you see, we all know what we have gone through in the past 2 years. We know about the psychological impact of the pandemic. We know about it. We read about it in the newspapers, and we know how much the relations have suffered and are still suffering. So we will work on that in order to put remedy as much as we can. Clearly, this will entail that we will have to balance our investments. And I'm talking about costs. We will have to strike a balance between what we invest in this domain and in the other domain. Today, you see, it is raining and snowing. And it would be very nice in this sort of nice atmosphere that Councillor Bisesti tells us that they give double the money to that they promised us. Well, have I understood correctly that you will do? Unfortunately not. It seems that this will not happen. Jokes aside, let's go back to the three keywords, studio. This will entail the training activities, meaning that we will have workshops that will continue for professional dancers coming especially from outside the region we are in. Then we have artistic residencies, meaning that we will identify artists whom we want to accompany in their artistic development and process, and this has already started, of course. Then there is a new project that was started from scratch, which is entirely new, which is entitled Spring, to support Italian young dancers. It is a call, basically. We received 96, 97 applications. We picked 2, and with these 2 applicants, we will work in order to support their creative process from the very first steps with rather long residencies and with the support of dramatists and other artists who can help these young artists to fine-tune their final project. And we will start in spring, hence the name of the project. This is something that marks a new beginning for us in supporting young Italian dancers. And of course, we will also continue our work with the associate artists, as we call them. That means companies, artists that we are specifically interested in and with whom we have worked also for longer periods, with whom we established a relationship based on trust, so much so that we went beyond the funding that we could provide, the support that we could provide, and actually managed to identify really harmony and a synergetic approach in planning, programming, and developing an artistic project and carrying it out. So you see, there are so many things together that I'm telling you about, and this indeed has an international dimension. So I would like, in this respect, to see whether we are able to connect with Marcos Morau. But it seems that there are technical issues. So we will first connect with Michela Lucenti, and then we will try and connect with Marcos Morau, who is one of the international associate artists who has been with us for 4 productions, and we have a 5th for 2023. So we hope that is able to connect with us. He's on a train traveling from Madrid to Barcelona. Let's see whether he manages to connect back with us. So that was studio. Right, but we do have Michela Lucenti, so you are introducing actually the 3 keywords. So please continue on that line. So we talked about studio. Now, people. People means that we work with the community, for the community, and they intertwine the needs that do exist on the territory. And the experiences that we are making there are extremely interesting and thrilling, I would even say, because you see there is an activity with the schools of this area. Daniele Ninarello works on that. Please help me remember, Gloria, how many students work with us on this? How many pupils? 230 students, 10 classes, 10 groups working on bullism as a topic. I must tell you that the participation on the part of pupils and teachers and schools is incredible. They are very active. They are really in line with what we do. And this, I believe, is a very important action that we can perform with the community. You see, it is pupils and students are from the schools of Trento in this moment. In autumn, during the past edition of the latest edition of the festival, there was another experience, participatory experience that was very important to us. And you will find a witness of that on the upper floor, because when we conclude the proceedings here, we will see testimony about what has been done by Michela Lucenti with 20 Diversi, which is the title given to the following initiative. Madrigals were used as a form of narrating, and then there were physical performances enacted by people who would tell their story in that way. It was really emotional. It was something that lasted 5-6 days with several appointments every day, and people really showed up so much. There was an incredible reaction and response on the part of the community. You see, this is a way that we can work in order to refreshen the relations in our community. They are key to us, and they bring us back to our values and our charter of values. So I would kindly ask Michela Lucenti, who is with us this morning, to tell us about this initiative. She put so much effort into the initiative. Please tell us about the way by which you experienced this initiative and these events, which was something that we did together with the community. I hope you can hear me well, Michela. Michela, we can hear you very well. Thank you. Wonderful. So first and foremost, thank you. It is so nice to listen to you, and it is nice to hear about the changes that are going to take place. I have been so lucky as to be able to be hosted by the festival several times, And I would say that it is very important and also a duty in a way for me now to try and give something back and tell you and tell everybody about the work that we have performed together. The projects have always been strong projects, necessary projects, I would say. The Madrigal project was possibly one of the most important ones for us because the idea was not that of involving only part of the community, but try and involve everybody, sort of go to the arms post-COVID in order to give the possibility to an entire community to speak up. Instead of working on large groups, we went for something different, and it took a while also to try and make it clear what we wanted to do. It was a sort of funnel approach, meaning that we started from individuals, and it was the time of the quarantine. It was a moment of solitude for many people. So we asked people, single individuals, to try and tell us about their life in terms of a work of art, if they thought that it was a piece of art. And you see, people were really feeling sad. It was a moment of solitude. It was a moment of being alone at home. But there were many participants, actually. We involved the province of Trento. So we had so many people sending their applications. We picked 20 people in the end. Initially, we had thought about 10, but we had such an interesting group of people from different backgrounds in terms of social class and also job or background in general. So we made this type of experiment with them. We had them tell about themselves through interviews, and we wanted also to add the physical aspect. We wanted to work on the topic of madrigals, meaning what madrigals are in terms of narrating one's life as if it were a poem, including failures, including pain. Life means not necessarily the life of a person aged 70, but it could also be the life of a 7-year-old boy or girl telling about their life. And we started this experiment. We investigated their living conditions, their life, their environment at home, at work, and they also brought people to us. They could be their employers, their family, teachers from school, and together we worked and recorded their personal madrigal that then translated into a performance. It was a challenging experience. It lasted 1 hour, performed twice a day for 6 days. And the community would come to see this act, and it was a person, a body telling about their life. It was wonderful to see a highly diverse group of people bring together, narrating together about themselves. And it was very beautiful also for the community because it received this gift. And you see, everybody was in a way treated as if they were a rock star. And it takes a lot of courage to want to tell about one's life. So we asked everyone to tell about themselves and do so through a narration, which also involved the body. Lanfranco knows very well that when you work not only with professionals, you have to be very strict in terms of the artistic approach, because we do not want these to be a sort of leisure activity that people do just to do something in their spare time. You need to have a very strict approach, and this is what we need in order to understand that an artistic product is the outcome of discipline and of a project, of a reflection, of something which is in line with the policy. You see, this is something that we have worked for a long time. We want to make dance increasingly part of the community. Communities have to regain the ownership of dance. Oftentimes we see wonderfully beautiful dance, which is though a bit distant from the audience, because people react by saying, I do not understand this. They are too good, they are distant, while dance is the opposite. Dance is empathy. We believe that we have to regain that dimension, because we need to involve the audience more, and we have to work on that so that people really have an experience of dance, not in terms of everybody becoming a dancer, but in terms of regaining ownership of the community dimension of the body, of bodies through dance. This is what we worked at through this initiative with the festival. We did not want to lower the level, rather the contrary. We wanted to do something which was based on participation and which was not trivial, which meant working with different bodies. And you see, the title of the initiative, Diversi in Italian, means both different, if you read it as a single word, but also of verses, diversi, if you split the letters in the word, which brings us back to the poems, to the madrigals. This is something that communities, of course, have to be part of. We have to work with people, otherwise what we do is meaningless. Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. We will be able to see then later on the exhibition about Venti Diversi. Now we think that we have re-established a connection with Marcos Morau. He's connected via the phone. We will try and hear him. Marcos Morau, as I said earlier on, has been in the 4 past editions an associate artist for us, and it has been an extreme pleasure for us to have him as an associate artist, because he has become really, I would say, a star at international level. What we saw in Rovereto, Sonoma,
che riusciva ad entrare, a essere presentato sul palcoscenico, perché ovviamente
was staged here for the first time due to the constraints of the pandemic, and they were so emotional about being here, about being for the first time on stage with their performance in Rovereto. So it was such a pleasure to have him with his company here. Please tell us why Oriente Occidente for you, Marcos, is of course a peripheral space vis-a-vis Paris or Madrid or Avignon, but why is it nevertheless important for you? Why do you want to be, and did you want to be in Rovereto? How come that it can be special for you in addition for us? Marcos Morau will speak in English, and we will also have a consecutive translation, or we will try to do so.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to say sorry because I'm in a train and I'm trying my best to be connected with you. Because for me and for Ola Veronal, it's a pleasure to be connected with Oriente Occidente. because they are not only one festival who program us, is a partner that co-produce us year by year, supporting our creations. And this is more important than when you are only invited one time, because thanks to Oriente Occidente and other partners, you can grow, you can come back to the places, you can be better, and you can resound in the European scene. And I think this is uncalculable, it's amazing. Thank you very much, yes.
Chiedo a te una cosa. Possiamo,
Marcos, what I would like to ask you is, can we anticipate that you again in 2023 will be an associate artist with us with a new performance?
Yes, definitely. Again, in 2023, we will be back there for premiering our new adventure or new creation. We are very excited because we can say that is our first creation for teenagers, for young audience, for young generations. And I think it's really exciting because nowadays we have to think also in the future, no? In which kind of world we are living. And this project is supported by European Union and by many partners that they used to be friends of us, colleagues, and people who support me from the very beginning as Oriente Occidente. And that's why this year we are not in Oriente Occidente, but 2023, finally we are back there, and I'm looking forward to present my new dreams and nightmares in Rovereto.
bambini. Grazie Marcos, a presto.
Thank you very much, Marcos, and see you soon then. See you soon. Thank you, Marcos. We would like to thank Marcos Morau and also Claudia Marsili for translating, and I thank you back. And I would kindly ask Lanfranco to close this meeting, telling us about the new festival. The festival will be from the 3rd to the 12th of September, and we will focus on the Mediterraneans in the plural form. This is something that we had already thought about before these terrible moments at international level that we are experiencing and living now. because you see, the theater of actions is not only far away, but is also in the Mediterranean, because the American and Russian fleet actually in the Straits of Sicily a few days ago had some issues, let's say. So we want to go back to the fact that the Mediterranean is a place of encounter. I would like to quote Pope Francis, who said that for millennia, the Mediterranean joined different peoples and territories, and now it is becoming a liquid cemetery, a cold cemetery without tombs. This is the topic that we wanted to address, the topic of this sea that joins together and has joined together, but which runs the risk of becoming a cemetery now. So the idea was that of understanding precisely not only about what happens in the countries surrounding the Mediterranean, but we also have to think in terms of a broader geography and all the countries that are not only close to the Mediterranean, but also in the mainland, Iran and Iraq, Lebanon, that of course is on the Mediterranean. So this is what we want to focus on. We wanted to bank on the relations that exist. We want to do that also in a poetic way. And we want to go back to the mythological aspects with Theseus and Odysseus and so on and so forth. We want to rediscover a number of literally literature domains and aspects that can indicate to us new routes that we can follow. This is the idea. Thank you very much. Thank you. I would say that, of course, you can have a look at the material that you have received about the new appointments. This is something that will include events in March and then June and then later on in the autumn. And we also have Sconfinamenti, which is something that brings together dance and the pleasure of walking and hiking. I would now ask the Municipal Council for Culture to take the floor, and I kindly ask her to conclude our meeting. Thank you. Indeed, I will be very brief. At the end of this very enriching meeting, which has been an encounter, I would say, and we have received so many important enriching inputs. I bring to you the perspective of the municipal council, but also I would like to bring to you the perspective of a citizen living in Rovereto. This is an epoch-making time. This is an historical moment, meaning that we now celebrate the outcome of a process which has lasted for a long time, but which now once again testifies to the fact that Oriente Occidente is not only a festival, but a cultural venue and process. This is very important. We have to regain awareness about the importance of the world of culture vis-à-vis the challenges that we have to meet in the present time. And I'm referring to communities that have to perform a political role, I would say, in relation to culture and to the players of this domain. I believe that this is an important step that we all have to make, and this is an important step for Oriente Occidente. It is a moment in which we consolidate consolidate the past and we lay the foundation in a way for the future, in order to be able to further stimulate actions that raise awareness among communities. We are happy and proud to be able together to take responsibility, be brave, and join in new endeavors. Oriente Occidente is indeed a partner that is highly precious and valuable for administrations in creating a more inclusive world. You are an ally for us, of course. So thank you very much for your work. I really wish you and us all a very fruitful work in line with the objectives for the future that have been voiced, because it is a long time perspective that we want to adopt. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to Michela Lucenti, who represented the municipality of Rovereto. I would say that now we can close the streaming, the live streaming broadcast, and we thank all those who have attended the meeting remotely, while we will continue the meeting here and we will visit the exhibition upstairs. Thank you very much.